Hey, welcome back, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on in. We're going to take a quick peek at what is the energy for the 2nd of December. Wow, moving along, aren't we? We have Strength sideways, and we have the Page of Swords in the reverse. Someone is trying to have the courage, the energy to stop looking at something, to stop spying on something, to stop trying to figure something out. It's almost as if somebody is saying, I've got to find the strength to quit running myself ragged over, looking at this. I need to stop. Ooh, the Lovers in the reverse. I need to quit reliving the old memories and trying to sort out what happened, why it happened, how it could have been different. This feels like we have a person who is like really, I don't know why. Hang on, let's change decks so we give them a fresh opportunity in case we're going to get duplicates. Why do they feel like it's time that they stop going over and over something? Because there's always still coming up short. 6 of Pentacles. I wonder if this is a character who they would have been willing to have an actual conversation if the other person had ever wanted to have the conversation. But they've been sitting out here getting colder and colder, still offering their cup, but knowing that I guess what I'm offering or what I would be willing to receive from someone if they wanted to talk, it just seems like they're never going to reach out to me. So I need to lay down the burdens on this. I have invested enough time. It is time for me to pull up the stakes, take down the circus tent, and move on to the next town. We've got that 10 of Wands in the reverse, laying down burdens, letting go of this huge, heavy boulder that has been, I think, the overthinking of this or the waiting for something and just not really seeing any communication or any effort on the other person's part. Now, this could also just be that a character has run themselves ragged over, if I met this person and it didn't work out, then why did I meet them at all? And I really think that they're just trying to say, I have got to move on. This has been a long time now. But let me just ask, if this character met someone and things didn't work out, and let's just assume it's romance because of that Lovers card. Let me ask that question on their behalf. Why did they meet someone at all if it didn't work out? We have the Temperance card, which in this deck they call the Art card. Love is a work of art, but maybe once a painting was completed, that's it. It's that moment in time has already been captured, and that's all it was going to be. Ideally, both parties walked away with something, though, of value. So if our character could maybe look at, did they gain something of value? Did they walk away learning something about balance? Well, we have a 7 of Swords. Unfortunately, what they gained might have been a lesson about... Okay, so let me put it this way. Many things in life are difficult. Like, I'll use driving as an example. The more we're out on the road, the more we're driving, the greater the likelihood that we're going to encounter really bad drivers and narrow misses and, maybe, heaven forbid, get into accidents ourselves. But we learn to become better, more alert drivers, more defensive drivers, more savvy drivers, more cautious drivers, the more we get some experience around us. Ideally, we would be all of those things right from the first time we ever sit behind a wheel. But in truth, I know I became a much better driver after I had driven abroad. And so, I was, that helped me a great deal. And I know I became a better driver after being in really thick traffic in places that I was unfamiliar with and, just experiencing like the vast array of different types of drivers that are out there. That was good for me to become a more like aware driver. And I just use it as an example because this might have been the equivalent of, we'll say, a fender bender that our character had to endure. The equivalent of this relationship is, it's like they went through some really difficult experience and that if they can take away anything, it's that they learned how to recognize trouble before they get into it, how to avoid something because they have some awareness about it now. Now, unfortunately, it's like, instead of using the analogy of driving now, let's just say it like it is. I think our character met somebody that was a liar. I think that they had a lot of different stories. I think they always had incomplete or mismatched information. And I think that if our character can make peace with that and say, you know, here all this time, maybe I've been trying to figure out why did all this happen? And perhaps, perhaps instead of why did it happen, perhaps I ask, what did I gain out of this experience? Well, there were some nice moments, maybe just a few snapshots, a few, like I say, once we've already painted the painting, that's it. That's what it is. Now the paint has dried. And in reality, as our character looks at it, they say, okay, I can think back to that relationship. What was it? Well, I was dealing with a liar. Or there was something that wasn't right about this. There was something that wasn't true. And that in and of itself, even though it could have still had sweet moments, nice moments, the underlying foundation doesn't seem like it was very stable. And if that is something that our character is now very aware of, it will serve them so well moving forward, because after having dealt with someone that was maybe untrue, and this is just a very discombobulated imagery, right? We've got statues without heads. We've got people in masks. We've got all kinds of mismatched things. We never see anybody's true face in that card. And I'm thinking that that is going to serve our character really well, so that they recognize when they do meet somebody that's true, they recognize that the comparison, purely for comparison's sake, they'll have a better idea of how to handle themselves, that with someone that they meet who genuinely wants to invest. They'll be able to say, wow, this person, this new person is so different. This maybe they're about to meet a king of pentacles. Wow, this is somebody that actually shows me what it's like to have somebody put effort in and be straightforward, because they don't want me to get confused and back away and think that they're a liar. This is the difference, is going to be night and day. Just like the Hanged Man gives a whole different perspective. So although I know that's not the happiest of messages, that, wow, the greatest thing that came out of this is that our characters learned what a liar looks like, so they will have an easier time when they meet somebody who's truthful. But again, for the comparison's sake, right? Again, they're a better driver on the highway of love now. They'll recognize like a better route. They'll recognize better terrain, better paved roads. They'll recognize how best to avoid sketchy rest stops and things like that. Like, that's the best analogy I can come up with for this, because there isn't really we have to chalk this one up to experience. And that's not a real answer, and that can still be frustrating. But remember, the gist of this story is that on December the 2nd, what we have is a character who says, I want, they could be a Leo, they could be a Gemini, but I want to stop thinking and thinking and thinking and remembering a relationship that didn't really make sense to me. I don't really know what happened. I don't know why we didn't make it as a couple, or why they didn't love me better. I'm tired of sitting here waiting for them to someday love me better. It's a burden to me now, and I shouldn't be burdening myself with this. That's the real determination of a character, which I would say, hallelujah, good for this character. What has the universe got to say to them? I'm so happy for this character, honestly. And I think that they won't have any problem having that forward motion. The universe says, with the High Priestess, it says, like, the universe is giving them the reassurance that they are deeply intuitive, and not to doubt their intuition just because they picked a partner or were drawn to a partner that the relationship belly flopped. It just flat out belly flopped, or cannonballed, however we want to say it. It was a big old splash, but it wasn't graceful. It didn't end, you know, beautiful, and everybody, you know, standing on the edges of the pool got sopping wet, and, you know, like all the food on the buffet table got wet because somebody cannonballed in. Like, that's kind of the equivalent of, like, it's a quick way to ruin a party, right? Um, so why did I pick that? And the universe is like, listen, a high priestess will be drawn to the things that will give them the greatest growth, not necessarily the easiest path. And so to not be upset or to feel like there was any time wasted, because this is going to be, maybe it's only a sentence, or maybe it's a paragraph, or maybe it's a chapter in one's book of life. But there is a reason that our high priestess was drawn to this experience. And it wasn't for nothing. Their intuition is good. They were drawn to somebody maybe so they could learn a really valuable lesson for themselves about how not to get stepped on, right? Because this Five of Pentacles is somebody who's stepping on other people, not being respectful. If a liar is pretty disrespectful, somebody that lies to just get what they want, and, you know, wears masks, it can feel hurtful and disrespectful and confusing. But again, one of the things that maybe our character, their intuition brought them to somebody so that they would learn what that looks like, and so that they would be able to trust their intuition the next time they come across anything like that. They didn't waste time. They didn't lose anything. They did gain at least a footnote in their book of life about this lover. I do think that it impacted this person really heavily. I think that our high priestess was really heavily impacted by this. Yeah, and the universe counters with, it made you even stronger. It made your intuition stronger. It showed you what you're really made of. You're just fine. You got this. You're exactly who you need to be. You may not realize it yet, but you are stronger for having gone through this. Tell me just a little bit, universe, about that King of Pentacles. In due time. So the clock strikes 6, and the King of Pentacles, I'm not saying it has to be a King of Pentacles, but he represents the kind of person that our character is going to meet or needs to meet that will actually be a really great match. Somebody that would give to them just the same way they would give in return. It's really great energy of equal give and take. And it feels like that is a part of when the time is right. That's the kind of person that our high priestess is going to meet. And it will probably make more sense when they meet this person, like, oh my God, this is exactly what I have been looking for. They give to me the way I would want to give to them, which is very different than what I experienced with that past person, that Seven of Swords person. It's going to help our character to identify, this is what I've wanted. So I have to say, I mean, maybe our character would have recognized a wonderful King of Pentacles anyway, even if they hadn't had this terrible experience previously. But then again, maybe not. The universe said, High Priestess, you were drawn to the lesson that you wanted to have to bolster your own level of intuition. That's really why the High Priestess was drawn to this person. Hi, baby. All right, I'm going to leave that here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. I will see you again real soon. Bye.